everybody. Welcome to Rock and Roll Shin-Soo Chu, episode number 46. My name is Gabe Estel, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Dennis Levi Leach and Jonathan Getz. How's it going, guys?
Boom shakalaka.
All right. Welcome to Thunderdome. All right. Well, it's good to be back. Baseball games will be starting soon. I'm usually very excited when this week begins, but talk to me in about a week and a half, and I'll want spring training to be over. You know what I mean? Like I've never been a fan of, I've never advocated for such a long spring training. Like as far as games go.
There's nothing as less exciting than the box score with the SS in parentheses, meaning split squad. It's
right.
like, oh, great.
Right.
I bet that was productive.
It's awesome. Like I assume the games probably start tomorrow or Tuesday, I would imagine.
I think Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay, yeah. So early this week.
It'll be fun to see it on in video.
Yeah. Like I get goosebumps. Like the first time I see guys on the field.
Yeah.
I like seeing like the players who got traded, like in new uniforms and all that. Or got signed. People that switch teams. But yeah, I don't really need like 5 weeks of spring training games.
No. Yeah, I mean 4 is plenty.
I have 4.
Even like 3 would probably be good.
I say just like spring training, like 2 weeks of conditioning, 2 weeks of games. Let's get it started.
Like rip it.
Let's do it. Rip it.
Yeah.
So anyway, but nonetheless, for right now, this moment in time, I am excited for the games to begin.
I will be in sunny Mesa, Arizona. Maybe I will. I'll record a little video we can post or something. I will be March 14th at Sloan Park.
Do you know who?
Arizona.
So are you going to see a game?
Yeah. Off the top of my head, I can't remember who they're playing.
Just somebody. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And I'm hoping it's not a split squad day.
Right. You might really get to see Shane Victorino.
Batting cleanup.
Right.
He's like, "Hey, you want me to sign your kid's baseball?" I'm like, "No, thanks."
Where's Chris Bryant?
It's like all my cards I would have if you were on the Phillies, man.
I came here for Chris Bryant. Where is he? Anyway, just Victorino tries to put his arm around you. You're just like
get it off.
Please. All right. So anyway, with spring training starting, there's going to be some new rules this year in baseball. One of them was just announced recently, and it was triggered by a couple controversial slides last year, particularly the Chase Utley slide in the playoffs. But under the new rules, and I'm reading just this verbatim from an article on SI, and they're quoting the new rule. Slides on potential double plays will require runners to make a bona fide attempt to reach and remain on the base. Okay.
Nice.
So yeah, kind of a murky adjective there.
That's classy, bona fide. The last time I heard that was on a wet nap at Popeye's Chicken. Like I said, bona fide chicken.
I love on Popeyes that like authentic cook woman, that's like, what I'm talking about. Anyway,
yeah,
that's what sells me.
All right. So anyway,
bona fide.
Contact will still be permissible on these slides, but runners are now prohibited from altering their route to the base to initiate contact with a fielder. Plays are reviewable for officials, obviously using instant replay. Runners can be called for interference if their slides do not fall under the new criteria. Okay, so that's it. That's the language of it, along with a little bit of an further explanation.
I wonder if it'll apply in the postseason. I wonder if it'll only be a regular season rule.
Well, or like how hard umps might enforce it. Like
it'll be a while.
Like, is it going to be one of those things where some of the umps are kind of for it, so they are hard and enforce it, and others are like, meh?
I would think so.
So over under July 1st before somebody is actually called out for an illegal slide.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll take the under, actually. I'll take the under on July 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. They might want to vote. They might want to test it out, you know.
I mean, so they did this with home plate, you know, when Buster Posey broke his leg, and so they removed this, what I think is more ingrained in baseball, this idea of barreling over a catcher, Pete Rose style, and to protect the players, which was long overdue. It's dumb to do that.
Yeah, no, there've been some nasty slides.
And there have been nasty slides going into second base, and why they wait for somebody to like break his leg before they finally decide to make a rule just shows how reactive rather than proactive they are. Yeah. So it's late to do it, but better late than never.
I like how it's going to be kind of implemented. They're going to crack down more on the neighborhood play.
Yeah.
As well. Mm-hmm. So, because I mean, I've seen some replays where the guy's like nowhere near the bag, and you know they get the double play.
Right. Which actually, so if they're asking them to be more in there, they're you know they are jeopardizing that second baseman or shortstop safety a bit more, because the whole reason for the neighborhood is so that they back away from these guys barreling into second, these runners barreling into second. So I guess if you do it on both sides, then we're just back to this idea of playing baseball, which is great, rather than this, you know, baseball suddenly turning into football in the middle of a play up the middle. So I think it's good that they're going ahead and applying this to both ends of the play.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. Like I said, the language bona fide attempt, just that adjective, you know, how are they going to determine if something's bona fide? You know, I mean, it's
neural connections and
sensors.
Well played.
In the helmets.
Well played.
The quantified base runner.
Yeah, it's just to me it seems it's just so open for interpretation, I guess.
It is. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, how they apply it.
The other big rule is what they're going to be now having a 30-second timer for all mound visits by the coaches. Jonathan gets his wishes.
We all get to go to bed before 11 now.
Like, honestly, I wonder how much time it will cut down. I can't say I've sat and timed ever a coaching visit to know. Like, I think this is a good rule in essence to keep the game going a little bit more. And, you know, I will say sometimes those visits are used, like, if a guy gets injured. Or you'll see where, like, you know, like a catcher takes one in the nads, or an ump gets hit, like a coach will come out and talk for a while. Like, I hope that doesn't make it to where that aspect of the game goes away, because I always thought that was kind of chivalrous. You know what I mean?
Sportsmanship.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think as long as we keep, like, you know, Timex-sponsored clocks from being in the dugouts or something, like, if we don't do that, I think we're okay.
Yeah. Well, I've mentioned this before on the podcast. I've always, you know, baseball, one of the reasons it's my favorite sport, it's not the main reason, but I guess it's one of them, is the fact that it's not governed by the clock, you know, like the other major sports are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you know, like baseball and golf aren't governed by the clock, you know, whereas the other major sports are. Baseball is governed by the outs. So I've always liked that. And these sort of stabs at regulating it a little bit more, I'm kind of indifferent. I've always liked the pace of the game. I mean, to many people, I realize it's slow,
but it's gotten slower.
It has.
So the pace of the game is kind of always changing. It used to be mostly 2 hours a game, on average, but it's far from that now.
Oh yeah.
Listen, like, I'm one of those people, like, I'll watch a 7-hour game. Like,
honestly.
Like when I want the season to go 12 months, just like ship the thing to Costa Rica, like, you know, in the off season, play there.
Winter leagues.
I'm in. Yeah, I'm in. I love the game.
Yeah, I'm more of a 3 to 5 inning guy. So it's like, you know, it's more of a timing for me. It's like, okay, I got 60, 90 minutes. And really,
I feel like I don't even know you anymore. Anyway,
I'm all about efficiency, man.
No, I will admit, sometimes there are Cubs games where if I have them on, if I have it on the DVR or whatever, I will fast forward through when the Cubs aren't hitting, or you know what I mean. Sometimes, but
got the power to do that now.
But if I am in a situation though where I can sit down and really enjoy like 3.5 hours of baseball or whatever,
best.
Yeah, there's nothing like it, but. It harkens back to we were born in a different time, and kids and younger people today do not have the patience to watch something for 4 hours usually.
Yeah, especially when they've got a phone in their hands. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, this is a generational divide probably around this, I would imagine.
Yeah, and I think the idea of, we got to bring young fans back into the fold, I think that's kind of neither here nor there. You're never going to, compete with the internet. It's just not going to happen. No. I don't care if the game is only 75 minutes long.
Right.
So you should be happy if they happen to watch a highlight the next morning.
Sure.
On the web.
Well, yeah, and I mean, ESPN is even hurting. ESPN, I think, let go of a bunch of people recently due to the fact that younger people aren't even watching SportsCenter anymore.
No. I mean, they can get it in so many. They can get the same info in so many different ways.
Exactly.
Exactly. From so many different sites and apps.
Oh, and ESPN's all in on NFL anyhow. So
yeah, it might as well be the second NFL network.
Yeah. I think it's more like the first NFL network.
Or that. Yeah. But yeah, no, Levi's right. I mean, that the influence of ESPN is certainly waning, I think.
But Sunday Night Baseball is still something I really enjoy. There's something about just sitting down end of the weekend. Used to be Gary Miller, or not Gary Miller. Who's the dude from the Orioles?
John Miller?
John Miller, yes. I think John Miller, yes, underrated. And now they have the new guy, the new team from a couple years ago. I think they're pretty good too. And it's usually kind of more relaxed. At least that's how I perceive it. And so I do enjoy that programming.
Well, they produce a baseball game really well.
They do.
ESPN does.
They do.
Yeah, I'll give them that.
And what's amazing is
much better than Fox.
They've kind of had that style for a while, and so you would think more teams would kind of imitate it a little more than what they do. You don't see it a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, with ESPN, a guy hits a home run, you're getting to watch him trot from third to home as the guy's holding the camera up.
Yeah, right on the field. Yeah.
They produce a game really well. I will give them.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's it's much different than just watching a game, just a regular game from the team's regular affiliate.
Yeah, the Fox Sports Channel.
Right. Yeah. I would definitely agree with that. All right. So some new rules up this year, and this next topic. We're going to talk a little bit. This is going to segue into sort of the main course of this episode. Earlier in the week, Mets manager Terry Collins took umbrage with superstar Yoenis Cespedes, newly signed superstar Yoenis Cespedes, wearing his hat backwards, and said he was going to talk to him about it. So. The old man waving the finger at young Cespedes. I don't know why I started to say that with a Scottish accent. I was like the old man waving the finger.
Right.
The first old man was from Scotland.
Officially.
For some reason, I just wanted to an I'm sorry. Jeez. Anyway,
it's
or Irish Collins. Anyway, sorry.
There you go.
It is. It's sad because a lot of these guys that were coaches now, they were players, and it's like, come on, you're gonna tell your player you can't wear his hat backwards. Baseball. I mean, if Lou Piniella would have walked out and told Ken Griffey Jr. that in 1990, do you think? I mean,
he wore it backwards during the game either.
Yeah, exactly. This is the same with Cespedes.
Training.
We're talking about practice. We're talking about practice.
Practice.
Baseball is still pretty stuffy old man. You know, it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's still got that. There's the right way to play the game. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's still got that, which I get. You know, our announcer, Hawk Harrelson, is definitely all about that. Yeah. And much to the rest of the league's annoyance and most other fan bases' annoyance. I get that. We've had the Hawk Harrelson conversation on this show. But yeah, I thought it was stupid. I thought it was kind of offensive. You know. Like, I mean. Let's decode that, Terry. What are you really trying to say here? All right. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I think, you know, it's like this, the Steph Curry thing with NBA, Cam Newton with the NFL. It's like these guys that have like a lot of fun out there on the field playing a game that they're getting paid so much that it's like beyond, it's beyond responsibility. It's just fun again. You know, and so who can fault him for wanting to have fun and buying a new car for every day of the week?
Oh yeah, he's winning spring training.
Yeah, he definitely. That's
that fucking dealership was winning spring training.
Right. Oh yeah. I guess he has a couple huge estates and he likes raising his own cattle. Yeah, because I guess it was like. I guess a big thing in Cuba was you really couldn't like raise your own cattle and kill them. You'd have to like get permits,
get clearance.
And so he's like loving
American dream, man.
Yeah,
he's living it up.
He's gonna be making what, 25 mil this year or something like that.
Honest,
so yeah, he'll be alright.
I kind of liked him, and I always felt bad that he was getting traded all the time.
He's we've talked about him a lot on this show, and he's an interesting player. I mean, he's interesting.
Divisive.
Interesting is kind of a generic word. Yeah, he's divisive, definitely. But yeah, Levi's right. I mean, it is odd that a guy this good got traded that often. You know,
he's been in the league only since 2012.
Yeah,
isn't that crazy?
Three seasons.
Yeah, he's been a lot of
5 seasons. 4 seasons. I'm sorry.
This will be his 4th. Yeah.
He's been a trade chip. For a lot
every year.
Right.
Every year.
Yeah, he hasn't really got that big contract yet. I mean, now he kind of does with the Mets, but he can opt out of it.
Right.
Yeah, and he's got a gun for an arm. I mean, when he
when he tracks the ball down, he's got a chance for gunning the guy out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's had some amazing throws. Yeah, I say roll with it, yo. You know, just wouldn't it be funny if like Collins walks out to the parking lot, you know, after a hard day of practice, and Cespedes in his car just circles around Collins many times, you know, just stare at him down.
Hat backwards.
And with the hat backwards.
You know, by the way, it would be one thing if Cespedes didn't produce, but his second half of last year was for the ages.
Well, with a guy like that, you want to just be like, yo, dude, do your thing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, whatever makes you comfortable.
Why are you going up to a guy like that and being like, you can't do that?
Well,
especially like you know, obviously, you know, a lot of people predict the Mets to do big things this year, but without Cespedes, that's not that great of a lineup.
No,
it's really not.
To be honest, the numbers without him were not that good at all.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I mean, it like hinges on David Wright other than him, you know, I mean, so David Wright, who's, you know, had precarious health basically his whole career.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would just leave Yo alone, I think, and do whatever the hell you want.
Yep.
You know? Yeah. But anyway, that gets into our conversation. Terry Collins. There was a list on kind of a generic sort of website that I just stumbled across. Maybe they do great work. I don't know. Rant Sports. And it was one of those clickbait articles, slideshow style, where it was ranking all 30 managers. And they didn't really give any explanation of the metrics that went into this. And one of the questions that's always surrounded managers is, you know, ultimately what makes a good MLB manager. It's been hard to quantify. No one really seems to know. That usually the team's performance kind of speaks for itself, and the manager gets rewarded as well.
Well, it's one of those things where I think you're always just going to be as good as your team. You know what I mean? Like, they want to say, they're managers that can pull the best out of, average players.
Doing the most with the least.
Yeah, and it's like, well,
I don't know.
That maybe, but like in any instance in my entire life when I've been on a team, it was the team banding together and doing something together as a team, not the leader or the manager.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Doing it for each other rather than for the manager.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've never been in a situation where it was like, let's do it for the Gipper, or you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, some managers stand out because they take chances, like Joe Madden, who was number one on the list. Levi, you better win a World Series because I'm getting a little sick of this.
Yeah, right now
I'm getting a little sick of this Madden fawning that's going on.
Dude, right now, as a Cubs fan, it's like it'd be like doing a whole case of Whippets. You can go online. It's like there's 1,000 articles posted within the last week. It's like, Cubs are going to do this. Cubs are going to do this. Yeah. Joe Madden's the best at this. Blah. It's just like, oh my God. It's bad. But he is a good manager, and he takes risks, but they're calculated, man. He's a numbers guy. Yeah. A lot of what he does is stuff by the numbers, or stuff that he feels is right. Sometimes maybe the numbers are close, and he'll be like, well, I feel it's really should be this way.
He's a hybrid.
I think a lot of it's more calculated than what people want to give him credit for sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, his waters might run a little deeper than, say, I don't know, Matt Williams or Brad Ausmus or something. I don't know. But
I'll totally say I think Bochy on paper is a better manager. He's got 3 World Series titles.
He's done it. He's done it with not very dominant offenses as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll give him that. He's basically had Buster Posey. Like
so,
as far as and I guess Hunter Pence.
So, do you think a manager has more effect on the pitching or the offense or the defense? Or where do they have the most? I would think that the manager would have the most effect on the lineup. And so, therefore, the hitting.
Yes, I would say so.
And recognizing when guys gel at a certain spot in the lineup. So, Bruce Bochy's career winning percentage is .503. Okay, he has 3 World Series. You can't take that away. Not many managers in the history of baseball have that. But yeah, he has a career .503 winning percentage, which is just barely above even Steven.
Yeah, right.
Which is interesting. But he has 3 World Series, and that's why he's legitimately number 2 in this list, I suppose.
High pressure situations, he excels, I guess. Or he helps his players excel. Yeah. I don't know, because he's done that. All those Giants teams weren't just fantastic teams.
No,
you know what I mean. Granted, 2 years ago, they've had good pitching. They've always had good pitching during all those runs, but he was. I don't know how much of a role he played, but the offense started. He was able to make it work in the playoffs.
Yeah. To go to your question, Jonathan, I think it's a little bit of both pitching and hitting, for the fact that at a certain time in the game, a manager has to decide, well, should I play this scenario here because of the numbers on this guy is better at pitching or hitting, and so it's kind of like there are these little mini chess games all throughout the whole course of the game, and I think Bochy is really good at navigating those.
Yeah, and I guess in the National League it's even harder with the double switches. So credit to him there for sure.
Yeah.
But it's so subjective, the whole thing.
I don't understand why Buck Showalter is number 4 in this list. Buck Showalter has never won more than 3 games in the playoffs. He's managed in 17 seasons, and 4 of those seasons he's made the playoffs.
Did Buck Showalter manage the Royals at one time? No.
No, I don't think so.
This is terrible. I always get Buddy Bell and Buck Showalter.
Buddy Bell did, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, Levi mentioned this, or somebody, that they have a big staff too. Baseball teams have a lot of people with their hands in the pot who are trying to make that team as competitive as it can be.
Sometimes the pitching coach is just as notable as the manager.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And then hitting coaches have always been the first guys to get fired.
Right.
Right. No, but you've got outfielder coaches. I mean, you've got bullpen coaches. You've got
bench coaches.
You've got bench coaches. You've got scouts. You've got player development people. I mean, just so many things.
Right.
It's not like Joe Madden. And I'm not being naive enough to say anybody can do it. They can't. I mean, I'm sure. And a lot of insider baseball people who have played and managed would tell us, otherwise. But or would reinforce that notion. But it's not like Joe. Like the weight of that baseball team is all on Joe Madden's shoulders. Like he's got to do everything. No, like he's got dozens of people to help him with that.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not undermining the guy. I'm just or underestimating how good he could be. It's just there's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a lot different. Yeah,
it's an operation.
I mean, I would say even into the 70s, it was still like the manager had a pretty dominant control over his team.
Yeah, staffs were smaller.
Yeah, and so now that it has been relegated to where there's like departments for everything and
specialists.
Yeah. Like I think in it changing to this environment, I think it makes the case even more for what I said, where I think it's all about just guys coming together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because to try and say the one guy out of the 20 coaches was the main influence on the other 30 people, you know what I mean? It's like, it's one of the most subjective awards, Manager of the Year.
It
so is, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Joe Girardi won it on a year he didn't even have a winning record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Joe Girardi's won it as many times as Joe Torre, who won how many World Series?
Sure.
5, 4.
Yeah. 5. Joe Torre was also, managing a Yankees team of all-stars as well.
Right,
not that Joe Torre's not a great baseball mind. He is.
Yeah. Yeah, but at the same time, like the same thing was going on across town with the Mets, but they never seemed to be able to put it together, even though they wouldn't have all these big signings.
I mean, and how well the team's playing. We mentioned Mattingly before we started recording. Mattingly, who's been with the Dodgers the last few years, and then now is with the Marlins. That Dodger team, $300 million, and they couldn't pull off. Or what? Not 300, 200. Whatever, a shitload.
A lot of money.
Yeah, a shitload of money, more than any other team.
And no World Series appearance.
And no World Series,
Not even in the World Series.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they didn't have an appearance in the World Series.
Yeah. I think a lot of managing, I give a lot of credit to consistency. Joe Madden, 7 of 10 full seasons with more than 84 wins, with 84 or more wins. Terry Francona has made the playoffs. Has finished above 500 in 11 straight seasons. Terry Francona teams, Indians, Red Sox, and maybe the Phillies as well. Maybe, I don't know. I forget if they're in that streak, but
I forgot
11 straight seasons. Granted, Boston had a big payroll, but Cleveland, he's been trying to take them to the next level.
Oh, yeah.
So I think
he hasn't had that good of a team in Cleveland, and he's got them into the playoffs almost, right?
Yeah.
He got him in once 2 years ago, and then not last year, because last year they kind of disappointed. I picked them to go to the World Series last year, and they didn't. Obviously, they didn't make the playoffs, but they could be back in it this year.
One's Madden, 2's Bochy, 3's Francona, 4's Showalter. Why is Clint Hurdle so high at number 7?
Yeah,
Pittsburgh? I don't know.
They've kind of been a letdown because they haven't made it to a World Series.
Right.
He has a career .490 winning percentage.
Yeah, and all the guys near the end of the list, they're just the guys that manage shitty teams, or they're new.
In the bottom 20, who do you think's most likely to win a World Series? All right, let's say in the bottom 15, the last half of the league. So you got Osmus, Cash, Melvin, Hinch for the Astros, Molitor. I like Molitor for the Twins.
I was going to say Molitor. That was going to be mine.
Nice. Yeah, what he did last year was impressive.
Yeah, those guys were like nobodies.
Yeah, I mean, they've got some young talent, but it's not totally developed. It hasn't totally developed yet. I'll say Hinch, I guess, just because I think the Astros have a good shot.
They have a lot of talent.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're better than the Royals, probably not, but they're good.
They were that close to advancing last year against the Royals, and they just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, so I would AJ Hinch, I don't know if he's a good manager or not. I think he's got a lot to work with, right now. Yeah. He's got a lot of talent, a lot of young talent. So
yeah, a lot of expectations now too.
Yeah, so I don't know how you can call like Craig Counsell from the Brewers a shitty manager. He's managing the fucking Brewers. You know what I mean? The Brewers aren't any good right now. I mean, what's he supposed to do?
Yeah, and he is at number 23, which is generous.
That is the trend of the list, like you said. It's like the better teams, those managers are at the top, and the worse off you are, you're at the bottom.
Sure.
All of these guys, too, you look at them, you're like, wait, are these player managers? Because I thought they were still playing.
Yeah, Kevin Cash. I was like,
right?
Kevin Cash?
Scott Service.
Parker.
Yeah, right, Scott Service. Yeah, I didn't. Where is Scott Service now? Seattle?
Yeah, Seattle.
Okay.
Yeah, he was on the Cubs for a while.
Was he?
Yeah.
Scott Service?
Yeah.
Walt Weiss. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Attack of the 90s player.
Yeah, when you want to feel old, just realize that Delano DeShields Jr. is playing and Walt Weiss is managing.
I remember a couple years ago, guys, on that note, as far as players that are former players from our childhood who are now manager or coaches, there was a fight between the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers, and it was like all of our old baseball cards getting into a fight. Like on the Diamondbacks, you had that's when Kirk Gibson was managing them. You also had Matt Williams as one of the coaches, right? He was like the third base coach. And then on the Dodgers, you had Mattingly, McGuire, Tim Wallach, and I think somebody else as well. So it was like all of our cards. Like,
did you recreate it with your starting lineups?
I probably could. I need a Tim Wallach starting lineup. So, yeah. But yeah. Anyway, so.
It's fun,
yeah. It's
managers catch the fever.
Hard to quantify, yeah. So, and I feel like the media just kind of has their favorites too. Like even though it's a .519 winning percentage, like everybody just really likes Buck Showalter.
He looks like he's a thinking son of a bitch when he's in that that dugout.
I think all of that has to factor into it.
He's got a game face for sure.
Somehow. People say Sosha is a good manager, I mean, I guess he is. I mean,
it's always the catchers too. Like the catchers are the cerebral guys.
Mm-hmm.
They know everybody, how to play the game.
I'd love to talk to a big league manager. It'd be fascinating to find out get their take, what makes a good manager.
So outside of Joe Madden, who it's like, okay, yeah, I'll let him like pick the wine and everything. Who would you sit down with, have a beer with?
Yeah, aside from Madden, because that's who everybody would pick. Right. He's the coolest. He's the cool kid.
I'll take it, man. This is like I don't know how many times in my life I'll be able to say, "Hey, the Cubs have a cool manager."
I mean, Donnie Baseball. I'd hang out with Mattingly. Yeah. I'd want to
wear a big fucking mustache and be
that's
like,
right.
"Can't make me shave it."
Right. Yeah. I mean, I like his demeanor. I mean, I never liked the Yankees, but I always respected him as a player a lot.
Right. Molitor would be cool. I always
fine. Yeah.
Molitor was my first favorite player, other than Yount. So yeah, definitely Molitor.
Sure.
Out of that list, I would choose. I mean, obviously, the second choice would be Molitor. Yeah.
Yeah.
After Madden.
Yeah, I would say the three guys that we just mentioned would be after Madden would be my first choices. All last names with M too.
Scott Cerveus, please don't write us. We're sorry we didn't pick you.
Right.
And so then we would all, at the same time, suplex Mike Matheny, right?
Right.
Oh God. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, it's like, dude, how did you inherit? You inherited his team and his just arrogant attitude of La Russa. It's like, dude, it was like La Russa left and you just came in and like sucked all his same essence. I don't know, man. I just and I'm a Cubs fan. I'll admit I'm biased, but man, something about Matheny. In almost all of the shots of Matheny in the dugout, he looks like annoyed or like pissed off.
And
good hair on him though. Anyway,
I'll give it to managers. It's a tough gig because looking through this list of managers, only a handful of them actually have won a World Series.
Right?
Yeah. Bochy, Francona, not Showalter, not Mattingly, not Matheny, not Hurdle, not Collins, Girardi. Yep. Not Gibbons, not Bannister. Yost did. So it's like only a handful of these guys have actually won. There's so much turnover in MLB.
Would Scioscia be the longest tenured manager right now?
16 years, I think so.
That seems like a long time for a manager in this day and age.
Certainly.
For one team, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
He's managed so long he no longer looks like he could have been a former player.
Yeah. He's been on the hot seat.
Yeah, right. For like the last 3 or 4 years. Yeah. Where was Bochy before San Francisco?
San Diego.
San Diego, right? That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just thought of it. That's who my spring training game is against.
Oh, it is?
Padres.
San Francisco?
Yep. Or San Diego.
San Diego. Okay.
San Diego. Yeah, Andy Green managing them now.
Which I would have never thought he would be a manager.
Yeah. Who knows? You know, yeah. Oh.
Who the fuck is Andy Green? Oh, I was thinking of Adam Green, from the Moldy Peaches.
As far as like personalities, you know, you want somebody that can sort of manage players' personalities, you know, not like in the way Collins does, you know, like Erie's trying to do with Cespedes, but you know, they can relate to him.
Right.
You know, he doesn't. It's kind of a generic. Doesn't micromanage them, you know. I mean, I always thought a guy that would be really good at that, and I think he wants to manage. What I heard is I think AJ Przinsky would be a really good manager.
Probably.
I mean, just you know, he would stick up for dudes. Yeah, he obviously there's the catcher thing, but yeah, he would stick up for dudes. You know, I mean, he's a player's guy. You know, I mean,
he'd be the first coach to hit a third baseman.
Maybe. Yeah, if that's what's needed, fine.
He'd be the first one to be thrown out in his first game by the third inning.
I'm for it, man. I mean, I
you want him coaching the White Sox?
I wouldn't mind. That's the thing too. Like, Ozzie was entertaining, so I liked that. The press conferences.
Well, like,
you're not going to top those, but like, I don't really give a shit who manages the team as long as we win.
Yeah,
I really don't care.
Yeah. And it seems like over, you know, a lot of managers, the best ones, seemed like they just let the players do whatever.
Sure.
You know, and so it's like there's all the different schools of managing, but yeah,
it's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
I suppose you're a bad manager, to piggyback on what Levi's saying, when you lose the players, and that's, from what I read, what happened in Washington last year with Matt Williams. That's why he's gone now already.
Supposedly what happened to Francona.
Yeah.
Dusty's got
in Boston.
Francona. It's what happened to Bobby Valentine when he was when he was in Boston.
Oh God, Valentine was on the hot seat as soon as he got hired.
Yeah,
that was awful. Anyway.
So yeah, I mean, there's stories like that, which I don't know if those. The guys just they couldn't control the clubhouse. They couldn't, you know, just there was no chemistry on the teams. You know.
Yeah.
The managers weren't doing a very good job of sort of massaging all that.
Well, and that leads to another question about managers. It's like, am I managing adults on a professional baseball team that are getting paid millions of dollars?
Right.
Or am I having to be like a social counselor and like setting up like nights after games where we all go out to a club to try and like build a false camaraderie and stuff? It's like I think that so much shouldn't be put on the manager. I think it should be put behind the GM and the people assembling the team.
Yeah.
It's like, don't just get a random bunch of guys together and be like, yep, they have to be friends and make it happen. It's like, you should know some people's personalities when you're signing them and think, hey, this should work together. I don't think it should always be put upon the manager to be like, oh, I have to make it to where these guys get together as a unit and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, one thing I'll say that I think you'll see more of, and I think it would be a good thing for the teams, is, you know, a guy that's bilingual is going to help a team in this day and age.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Ozzie obviously had that going for him, you know, and there's probably a couple other managers now that have it too. But yeah, you know, I would say it's not a prerequisite necessarily, but you know, when you're dealing with so much Spanish speaking talent on major league teams, that it can't hurt to have your manager be able to talk to those players directly, without going through an interpreter or without.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Last thing before we go, before we do some recommendations here, the White Sox earlier this week, last week I should say, signed Jimmy Rollins. Right now, I'll keep this brief here. Jimmy Rollins joins a long tradition of White Sox players who hopped on board, when they were past their prime, right? So I was able to compile a full lineup of past their prime veterans, guys who were once stars that the White Sox have signed or traded for since 1995. Let me read this really quickly, okay? In my number 1 slot, I've got Kenny Lofton. All right.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes. My number 2 slot, I've got Andrew Jones. All right. 3, King Griffey Jr. 4, Jose Canseco. 2001, we had it.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
5th, you guys might not even remember this one. 1995, John Kruk played for the White Sox.
Wow, I don't remember that. I thought you were going to say Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
I bet the pinstripes were slimming.
Right. So I've got Kruk batting 5th at first base. Bet you don't remember this one either. Only played like 20-some games in 1995. Chris Sabo at third base.
Really?
I got him hitting 6th. 7th, we got him twice actually near the end of his career. Hall of Famer Robbie Alomar.
Oh yeah.
Second base. We're gonna keep it in the family. Hitting 8th at a catcher, Sandy Alomar Jr.
Yeah.
We got him at the we were the last team he played for, I believe. And then 9th, I guess I could have put in Rollins here at shortstop now, but instead I put Omar Vizquel at shortstop.
Yeah.
So he was, I don't know if the White Sox were the last. I think they were the second to the last team he played for. But anyway, and my starting pitcher, 1993, we had Dave Steeb.
Oh yeah.
So I guess I'm going a little bit back here further back than 20 years. That one.
Like a new life goal should be to get like jerseys of all these now.
I know.
Have like the most obscure White Sox jersey collection ever.
Listen, we have so many guys. I didn't even have room for Manny Ramirez in my lineup. All right.
Right? Or Bo Jackson.
Or Bo Jackson. Yeah, I didn't even have room for those guys. So.
Oh wow.
Because all those guys were past their prime when we got them. Some White Sox fans would argue Adam Dunn, but I disagree. He was in his prime when we got him, or still in the throes of it. He just flatlined when he got to us, So I don't think he counts, So anyway, all right. So now we're gonna wrap it up with some recommendations for what we've been listening to lately. Haven't done that in quite a while.
Got to talk some music.
We do. So Levi, do you have anything? What have you?
I do. I just got it today.
Okay.
I got it at a Goodwill here in town that was having a 50% off sale, so I paid a whopping 50 cents for it. It's Pat Matheny, and it's called Bright Size Life. It's his debut record.
What year is that from?
1976.
Oh, okay.
And it is a trio. It's Pat Matheny on 6 and 12-string guitar, Bob Moses on drums, who's like a legendary fusion jazz drummer, and then on bass in one of his first recordings, Jaco Pastorius.
Nice.
So it's excellent if you're into fusion, guitar, rock, that type of thing.
Yeah,
I highly recommend it.
Cool.
I
struck a little bit of gold with the last new release Friday, a trio of albums I think that were all released this last Friday. Yuck's Stranger Things. I highly recommend Yuck. Pinkshinyultrablast released an album called Grand Feathered. I definitely recommend that. And also Mondo Drag's The Oculation of Light to follow up on Levi's original Mondo Drag recommendation from, I believe, 2015. So Mondo Drag getting it done again here in 2016 with The Oculation of Light.
Nice.
The Oculation of Light. I like it. All right. I'm going to recommend actually a genre of music that is fun and kind of has emerged a lot of European DJs are involved in this. It's not your typical electronic dance music by any means. The genre is called retrowave, And a lot of it is inspired by like 80s sci-fi and like 80s kind of electronic soundtracks, kind of like Tangerine Dream and stuff like that. But anyway, some of the bands that are part of this genre, there is a guy named Kavinsky. Yeah, did I say that right? Yeah, he goes under that alias. He's got an album called Outrun that's really a lot of fun. And all these bands have like really great visuals too, just because they're influenced by the 80s, so it's fun to look at as well. And there's another one called VHS Dreams, another band called Time Cop 1983. Sometimes these are a band, sometimes they're just a person, I guess. There's another one called Laser Hawk, another one called Power Glove. They incorporate a lot of the Nintendo Power Glove into their stuff. So yeah, check it out. It's fun. It's really good working music, I think, if you've got stuff to do. But it's nice and atmospheric and fun. I like it. So
cool. Retro
check out. Yeah, just Google retrowave bands, and a lot of the bands I mentioned will come up.
Right on.
Bands or DJs. Yeah.
Right on.
So, yeah, check it out. Lots of fun. All right. Speaking of fun, you can find so much fun stuff at rockchew.com. You can find previous episodes, links to albums we've discussed, recommendations we've made.
Interviews.
Yeah, have some great interviews over the last month. You can check out those. You can follow us on Instagram and the Twitter at
By the way,
yes.
Your Instagram post of, was it Matt Stairs?
Yeah.
In all of his jerseys? Well done.
Yeah, I don't know if I even touched on all of them. I just found that photo.
Like 7 of his jerseys?
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I responded to that. I didn't realize Stone Cold Steve Austin played baseball.
Yeah, right. Definitely.
He does. At some of those, he looks just like Steve Austin.
He does look like Stone Cold. Yeah, I missed a few because he played for the Expos as well, and I don't think I got an Expos jersey in there.
Yeah, that guy had a few.
Yeah, no, Stairs definitely modeled a few uniforms. So anyway, that's Rock in Chew on Twitter and Instagram, and that's N as in Nana Cherry. Right?
Buffalo Stance.
Got a long list I'm looking at here. So anyway, shout out to Nana Cherry. But anyway, yeah, check us out on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, as well as on Facebook. Tell all your friends. And again, visit rockchew.com for all cool stuff, baseball and music.
Oh, and sign up for our newsletter. We're gonna have a kick-ass newsletter that's gonna be going out. That you could be a part of the show. You could win shit.
It's true.
Yep.
Sign up, definitely. Help us grow. So anyway, we will see you next time, and hope everybody has a good first week of spring training games. Take care.
Peace.